Welcome. This is the eclipse for November. We are going to pick up where I left off in part one. And so part two is dissecting a little bit more deeper, going deeper. So what does that mean? Well, we had discussed the different things in the eclipse as far as all the stuff in Taurus and all the stuff in Scorpio. So let's take a quick look at that. You can see here from the last chart, I had marked the heck out of it, right? So if you haven't seen part one, you might want to go watch it because there might be some stuff there that I'm not going to go over here. You follow? So my cursor is here in the top right-hand corner. And this is Venus, this is the sun, this is the Mercury, this is the South Node. All this is in Scorpio. So there's a lot happening over here, right? And then the eclipse point is 16 degrees of Taurus. The moon is there, so that makes it a lunar eclipse. But we also have the North Node here, and we also have Uranus here. And Uranus is almost exact with that moon, right? The eclipse point is 16 degrees, which is why we're going to go over that. And then Uranus itself is at 1656. So technically we'll say that's Uranus at 17. So Uranus represents technology, right? And science, group energy, and it's conjunct the moon, so likely humanity. It also represents like possibly things that are, it's known as the awakener, right? It's known as the awakener. So it's in an earth sign, it's in Taurus, right? And Taurus being the earth itself, being our creature comforts, right? Our food, our environment, our plants, our animals, like what we need to survive. Can we survive without vegetation? Can we survive without the animals? No, we can't. So there's a big focus on earth matters. Uranus can be a person who is in charge, somebody who may seem a little rebellious, someone who's doing something that is unconventional, somebody who, I don't know if I should use the word stubborn in Taurus, but I think that's probably okay. But shockingly stubborn because it's Uranus, shockingly stubborn. Uranus it rules Aquarius, so it's already going to be very fixed in its ways. So it's a fixed planet in a fixed sign. Yeah, so it's just like, but these were my values. I'm not budging from what was my value, Taurus, right? We went over that in the first video. And then the North Node being here. And the North Node is just like my future. What are the values of my future? And what am I going to need for my future? And am I changing what I put my value on, what I desire? Is that changing altogether? So it looks like almost in a way, I don't want to use the word war. So we'll talk about the game of tug of war. And so there's like a lot of energy down here and a lot of energy down here. It's almost like this great opposition because it's not just the moon and the sun, right? Which is what makes the opposition of the moon and the sun a full moon. But because it's near the nodes, they're both near the nodes, right? So that makes this an eclipse, right? And so, yes, this is a lunar eclipse, a North Node lunar eclipse in Taurus energy. And they're also, if you were to go on like NASA or timeanddate.com, this is considered the blood moon. And yeah, I have a link below. You can read about that. It really just talks about the appearance of the moon, that it has like a red tone to it. So yeah, it's interesting. The moon represents a let go and a release. Yeah, like something's over. We've completed a cycle. Now, it does represent feminine energy as well. I want to point that out because it's a moon, which is feminine. It's in Taurus, which is feminine. Yeah. And then like, this is an independent, like I'm fighting I'm going against the grain type of thing here. Yeah. This is what this is. So there's a lot of strong energy for fighting back, for resisting, for going against, traditional ways, conventional ways. Yeah, I'm going against that. I'm doing my own thing and I'm going to stand up and I'm going to be heard kind of thing. Like I'm not afraid to raise, some would say it's the time Uranus represents when we raise our freak flag, whatever that means for you. It really just means you're comfortable in your own skin, meaning you're different and you're supposed to be different, right? And you're going to value what you value, even though it might be different. right? Because it's in Taurus and we're not afraid. We're just, it's like Uranus gives us our backbone, right? Yeah. It's like, it helps us to stand up a little bit taller. Like, okay, I look different. I sound different. I'm not popular. And you know what I'm saying? Like Uranus is just like, that's okay with me. I'm not going to be a part, I'm not a follower. Uranus is not a follower. It likes new, exciting, and different. It likes technology and it's smart. It likes innovation. It's science. Yes, it's astrology. So go down here and we've got all this other stuff supporting Scorpio energy, which is our values, right? So what I want to do is I'm just like, so what could be happening? Because if you take a look at the date, right. It is November 8th. And so for those of you who are in the States, and even if you're not in the States, like there's big elections this year, okay? People who represent us, congressmen, our senators, our governors, like that's a big deal on a state level, right? So it's really important because governors for us, for the state we live in, they're like presidents of our states, and our states are sovereign. So it really does matter. And a lot of strong feminine energy over here because we have Venus. We have the sun, which is typically masculine. We have Scorpio, typically masculine. We have Mercury, that's typically masculine, right? But Mercury has the masculine and the feminine energy. There's a duality in Mercury, and it's really been showing up strongly, a lot of strong feminine energy. At least that's what I hear. That's what comes through to me is Mercury's showing up as more, just prominent feminine because of the ways we've been, the patriarchal type of society we live in. And so that I'm clear and so that I don't, so that you understand what I mean by that. Patriarch, right? Masculine men, right? Think us, or think not estrogen. The other one, the manly one, I can't think of the other steroid or whatever the heck. I can't think of it. But Mercury coming through more female is because it's returning. The cycles, the tides have changed. And so energy, the cycle of the energy in general is going back to a more matriarchal society. So matriarchal don't get it wrong. It's a balance is what it means. It means a balance of the masculine and the feminine. It's not about, okay, so men rule over here and women rule over here. Women definitely have a voice in the matriarchal system. Absolutely. And but women are not held back. You know what I'm saying? Like the woman's voice is just as important. The woman's opinion, the woman's vote is just as important. And so with all that said, it looks like because there's so much energy on each end, it's like, wow, is this like a tug of war, a battle of the sexes almost? It kind of has that vibe to it. Let me read the 16 degree, okay? Because it's really interesting. But first, I'm going to read the 15 degree because what I'm reading from, by the way, is Dane Rudyard. Okay, this was a gift to the channel. It's a book I've wanted for a very long time and could never find it and then kind of gave up and stopped looking. But yeah, awesome subscriber gifted the channel this book. And I totally forgot about the book. So when the person sent it, I was like, get out of here. Like I totally forgot about this. It was so super exciting for me. Anyway, Dane Rudyard, that's Rudhyar. He's a phenomenal astrologer. He's no longer with us, but he has taken what was known as the Sabian symbols, as it says there, and he didn't throw them out the window, but the Sabian symbols simply were just symbols. Okay. And so he took it to another level. And I don't deny or I don't doubt that he was connected, divinely connected, channeling some high energy that was coming through him when he further defined the definitions of the Sabian symbols. Okay. So to know what number 16 means, there's a reference to it. There's a reference to 15 in here. I want to read that real quick. Hopefully I can do it quickly. So number 15, it's a symbol. Head covered with a rakish, Rakish. I don't know what that is. It's a silk hat. It's muffled against the cold. A man braves a storm. The keynote, the courage needed to meet the crises precipitated by social ambition. So the man with the silk hat has seen some of his ambitious efforts bring him some social successes. But he learns that often nothing fails like success. The storm may be within him, or it may attack his social status. He is ready to face it daringly. This shows a willingness to accept crises and to go through them. And therefore, great character, the soil upon which a higher kind of consciousness may develop. So it implies a transition to a new level at which the individual who has learned from experience demonstrates a truly mature mind. What is revealed here is character under adverse circumstances. Character under adverse circumstances. So that was the 15 degree. Okay. Now I'm going to read 16 degree. And the 16 degree, if we look, right, you heard me mention it before, that's where the moon is in Taurus. And by the way, I am reading 16 degrees of Taurus, and what I just read was 15 degrees of Taurus, in case you have this book and you wanted to read long or whatever. So now this next degree, 16, says, an old teacher fails to interest his pupils in traditional knowledge. Keynote, the inadequacy of past knowledge in time of crises. So there's a little definition here, a little further, like a paragraph more. This is a cyclic process of the emergence of new developments. In time of crisis, as for example, the storm being braved by the man of the last symbol, the type of wisdom learned from this past remains in the background to be revived later on in new forms. What is emphasized is change. Traditional concepts are not adequate to confirm the new conditions of existence. Thus, whenever this symbol comes to a seeker's attention, it initiates that even the most consecrated tradition does not have the real answer to the problem. So what we have here is a cycle, a process, a seemingly negative picture is shown. And from the Zen point of view, the mind facing trouble should not depend on past concepts, but should repeat, not this, not that, until the pure void is reached. We might speak here of the principle of creative frustration. Now that's number 16. All right. So I'm reading this to help us give more understanding. Like, the moon on a large scale, if we go macro, it's the public. Yeah. And Aquarius energy is groups of people. So this could be like mass transportation, right? It's something that's large. It's something, when you think of Uranus and its inventions, it's things that help the progression of humanity. Yeah, humanity. So it's huge. It's vast, right? So there's a lot of big, like whatever this is that we're going to experience is something that isn't just you in your own home or isn't just for the 16 degree person, although they would feel it first, okay? But it's something that will affect all of us globally. It's a big deal. Yeah. And because it's the moon, again, it's a release. Okay. Again, you want more details because then I talk about what it means because I define Taurus energy a little bit more, way more in depth in the other video. And I don't want to repeat myself. All right. So now I'm going to read the 17 degrees of Taurus. So number 17 degrees of Taurus, a symbolical battle between swords and torches. Oh, wow. The keynote, refusing to depend upon the past. The seeker turns warrior, fighting anew the eternal, in quotations, the great war. Fighting anew the eternal great war. Interesting. Very interesting. And then there's a paragraph below it. When Gautama, I think he's talking about, and Gautama is capitalized. So I don't know if that was the Buddha that he's referring to. I'm not sure. When Gautama, having sought in vain for the answers to his questions among the teachers of tradition, sat under the Bodhi tree. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Bodhi. Let me know if I'm not. He had to fight his own battle in his own way, even though it is an eternal fight. The spiritual light within the greater soul must struggle against the ego. Must struggle against the ego, that only knows how to use the powers of his material and intellectual world. There is no possibility of escape. It is the energy that arises out of the present moment, the inescapable now, that the daring individual has to use in the moment of a struggle. Interesting. A few more things written here. This symbol suggests that salvation is attained through the emergent individual's readiness to face all issues as if there were only two opposed sides. So teaches the Bhagavad. I can't say this, but it's a Indian. I can say it if I. It's BHAGAVAD and then dash GITA. I want to say Bhagavad Gita, but I don't speak Indian. I don't pretend to. So just bear with me. But it's a spiritual teaching. We'll put it like that. This is the dharma of the stage of human evolution, a stage of polarization of values. Well, this is fascinating because it kind of speaks to what we already know. It kind of confirms that it looked kind of like a tug of war. It's an opposition of values, right? A lot of feminine energy down here, and even Venus is down here in Mercury, but there's also masculine energy down here. But this, let's not forget, this is the South Node that's down in Scorpio energy, where we have all this other energy. And the South Node is what we're letting go. It's what we're releasing. And it is conjunct. It's 2 degrees away from 3 degrees away from Mercury and the sun and Venus. Well, Venus 4 degrees, but still, this is what we're releasing. We're letting that our value go, whatever that is. Okay. And then the full moon, the eclipse here at 16 is the North Node, this is what's incoming. We're releasing something because we know it's what's going to be good for us for the future. So I'm going to give a quick example here. Bow of the fifth element, the fifth column. Maybe he should be called the fifth element. But anyway, Bow of the fifth column had a video, and in the video he said that the DoD, Department of Defense, had made a decision. Apparently, the Department of Defense, since I think the 1960s, said that climate change was a security threat to the United States, to the world, basically, essentially. But it's a security threat. And so this has been since, 1960s, right? And so now they have decided to really, really act upon it. And so I guess their military vehicles, like their Humvees and all that stuff, and I'm not a military person, so I don't know all that. But anyway, he said that they have made a decision where all their vehicles that they will be accepting, those sort of vehicles, will all have to be electric. And so that was their way of setting a precedent for, we have to release something because we know that old value is not going to help us into our future. We may not be here if we don't release some of those old values. So I just wanted to add this video in here so that you guys could have a little bit more extra detail to what could possibly be going on for the eclipse, for the eclipse. Forgive me, but Mercury and Mars are really messing with my brain. Things are changing, and I know they are. In my brain, in your brain too. All of our brains, our thinking is really just, we're changing. New neural pathways are being created. And so the way we think is ultimately really, really changing. And so I'm in the midst of having a hard time communicating with this Mars and Gemini. And if you have been too, let me know, because I'm still sitting here and I'm just like, what is my problem? Why can't I speak for this? Anyway, this is the lunar eclipse in Taurus, the full moon, the blood moon lunar eclipse, North Node lunar eclipse in Taurus. So it's a release, but we're getting something new. Think of it as, yes, I'm letting another value go, but it's to make room for the new. I hope this helped. Bye-bye. So below the video, I'll have all the degrees for those of you who like to pay attention to the degrees in your chart. Again, if you don't know and you want to know, just comment below.